Hello, garden lovers. Imagine walking through a garden that's so alive and colorful, it feels like magic. What if I told you that this magic isn't just luck or being great at gardening? It's all about crop rotation, nature's own way of keeping your garden at its best. Unfortunately, our soils around the world are having a tough time. They're worn out, and this is a big problem for growing food. But don't worry. Today, I'm going to show you how you can make your garden bloom beautifully. We're going to learn about 5 amazing crops that work together perfectly to make your garden awesome. Think of them like a superhero team for your garden. Each one is special on its own, but together, they're unbeatable. We'll explore how legumes help your soil, how brassicas keep bugs away, how root veggies make your soil better, and how grains tie it all together. By the end of this, you'll know how to have a garden that keeps getting better every year. We've divided this guide into 4 easy-to-follow parts to make learning about crop rotation simple and enjoyable. First, we'll talk about legumes, such as bright peas and beans, exploring how they team up with beneficial bacteria to enrich the soil and ward off pests. Next, we'll move on to brassicas, including vegetables like broccoli and kale, and discuss how companion planting helps keep your garden bug-free. We'll hear from a bug expert on how these plants contribute to a healthier garden. Then, we'll focus on root vegetables, like carrots and beets, examining how they loosen the soil to improve water flow and aeration, which benefits all plants in your garden. Finally, we'll look at grains, such as wheat and oats, learning how they add vital nutrients to the soil and attract helpful worms, and how including a variety of plants promotes a robust, healthy garden. So, grab your gardening gloves, and let's get into how these superstar crops can change the way you garden. Your garden is going to love this. The power of legumes. Let's kick off our journey with the true soil superheroes, legumes. Just look at these beautiful pea pods and colorful beans. But don't let their good looks fool you. These plants are working overtime beneath the surface. Picture this. While most plants drain nutrients from your soil, legumes are actually feeding it. How amazing is that? Here's where it gets really interesting. Deep in the roots of these plants, there's an incredible partnership happening right now. Tiny bacteria are teaming up with legume roots to perform what I like to call garden magic. These microscopic helpers actually pull nitrogen straight from the air and transform it into plant food. It's like having a free fertilizer factory running 24/7 in your garden. See these little bumps on the roots? These are nature's nutrient factories at work. Recent studies have shown that a single crop of legumes can add up to 150 pounds of nitrogen per acre to your soil. That's enough to feed the next generation of plants in your garden. Farmers who use legumes in their rotation have reported up to 30% higher yields in the crops that follow. Talk about a gift that keeps on giving. But wait, there's more. These magnificent plants aren't just soil feeders. They're also natural pest controllers. Those same compounds that make legumes so nutritious for us actually help ward off harmful insects and soil-borne diseases. Recent research from agricultural universities has shown that gardens using legumes in their rotation saw a 40% reduction in pest problems. It's like having a natural security system for your garden. And here's the really exciting part. Legumes are like the perfect opening act for our next crop rotation superstar, brassicas. The rich, nitrogen-packed soil that legumes leave behind creates the ideal growing conditions for hungry brassica plants. Studies have shown that when brassicas follow legumes in rotation, they grow stronger, healthier, and more resistant to disease. It's like they're getting a 5-star meal before taking center stage. Stay tuned, because next we'll dive into how these incredible brassicas take your garden's defense system to a whole new level. Brassicas for pest control. Welcome to the defensive line of your garden team, the mighty brassicas. These aren't just your everyday vegetables. They're like the bouncers of your garden club. Look at this stunning collection of broccoli, cauliflower, and kale. But trust me, their beauty is just the beginning of what makes these plants so special. Ever heard of companion planting? Well, brassicas are the ultimate team players. These clever plants release natural compounds that act like a force field against unwanted pests. It's fascinating. Studies have shown that the natural sulfur compounds they release actually confuse and repel cabbage moths, aphids, and other garden troublemakers. It's like having a natural pest control system that works around the clock. But here's where it gets even better. While these plants are keeping the bad bugs away, they're rolling out the red carpet for the good ones. See these ladybugs? They're like tiny garden warriors, patrolling your plants and hunting down pests. Dr. Sarah Thompson, a leading entomologist, found that gardens with brassicas attract up to 60% more beneficial insects than those without. These helpful insects don't just protect your brassicas, they spread out through your entire garden, creating a natural pest control network. Think of your garden as a tiny ecosystem. Every plant and insect plays a crucial role. Brassicas are like the conductors of this garden orchestra, bringing all the pieces together in perfect harmony. Research shows that gardens with diverse brassica plantings are not only more resistant to pests, but also produce higher yields across all crops. It's the power of biodiversity in action. Now, here's the really clever part. As these brassicas grow and protect your garden, they're also preparing the soil for our next garden superstars, root vegetables. Their deep roots break up the soil and leave behind valuable nutrients. Studies have shown that root vegetables planted after brassicas grow stronger and develop better flavors. It's like the brassicas are rolling out the welcome mat for the next generation of crops. Stay tuned, because next we're going underground to discover how root vegetables work their own special magic in your garden's soil. Root vegetables for soil health. Now it's time to meet the underground engineers of your garden, root vegetables. These colorful crops aren't just delicious. They're busy transforming your soil while you sleep. Watch as I pull these beauties from the ground. See how the soil just crumbles perfectly around them? That's no accident. Think of root vegetables as nature's own rototillers. As these plants grow, their roots act like countless tiny drills, pushing through the soil and creating pathways for water and air. Here's a little experiment to show you what I mean. On this side, we have compacted soil that's hard as a brick. On the other, soil where root vegetables have worked their magic. Notice the difference? The root vegetable soil is light, fluffy, and full of life. And this matters more than you might think. Studies show that compacted soil can reduce crop yields by up to 50%. That's like throwing half your garden's potential straight into the compost bin. But here's where it gets really exciting. Root vegetables don't just improve the soil while they're growing. They're setting the stage for future success. Every tunnel and air pocket they create becomes a highway for the next generation of plant roots. Recent research found that crops planted after root vegetables develop up to 40% more root mass. It's like these underground champions are leaving a roadmap for the plants that follow. And speaking of what comes next, root vegetables are like the perfect opening act for our final crop rotation superstars, grains. All that loose, well-structured soil they leave behind. It's exactly what grains dream about. Research shows that grains planted in soil previously occupied by root vegetables develop stronger root systems and produce more abundant harvests. The soil structure is so perfect that grain roots can easily spread out and access all the nutrients they need. Get ready, because next we're going to discover how grains bring this whole rotation symphony to a magnificent finale. Grains for nourishment and biodiversity. Welcome to the grand finale of our crop rotation journey, the majestic grains. Look at this gorgeous field of wheat, barley, and oats dancing in the wind. These aren't just stunning to look at. They're the secret to keeping your garden soil rich and alive year after year. Here's something fascinating about grains. They're like little nutrient recycling machines. Their deep fibrous roots reach far into the soil, pulling up minerals that other plants can't reach. When their stalks and roots break down, they release a treasure trove of nutrients. Did you know that a single crop of wheat can return up to 40 pounds of potassium per acre back to your soil? Barley adds significant amounts of phosphorus, while oats are champions at providing zinc and iron. It's like they're setting up an underground farmer's market of nutrients for your next crops. But wait until you see my favorite part about growing grains. They're like a 5-star hotel for earthworms. These grains create the perfect environment for our wiggling friends. Recent studies showed that gardens with grain rotation had triple the earthworm population compared to those without. And trust me, where there are earthworms, there's garden gold. These little soil engineers work 24/7 to keep your soil healthy and fertile. This is where the magic of biodiversity really shines. Each type of grain brings its own unique benefits to your garden. It's like hosting a neighborhood block party, where everyone brings something different to the table. Research has shown that gardens using grain rotation are 60% more resistant to drought and disease than those growing the same crops year after year. They're not just surviving, they're thriving. As we look back at our journey through these crop rotation powerhouses, you can see how each player has its crucial role. From the nitrogen-fixing legumes to the pest-fighting brassicas, the soil-building root vegetables, and now these magnificent grains. They're all working together in perfect harmony to create a garden that gets better with each passing season. Stay tuned, because next I'll show you exactly how to put all these pieces together in your own garden to create a thriving, sustainable ecosystem that will reward you with abundant harvests year after year. Putting it all together. So there you have it, garden friends. We've explored the fantastic 4 players in our crop rotation dream team. But now comes the fun part, putting it all together in your own garden. Look at this thriving space we're standing in. This isn't just any garden. It's a living testament to the power of crop rotation. Our friend Maria here has been using this system for 5 years, and just look at these results. Let me break down how you can make this work in your own space. Think of your garden year like a dance, with each crop taking its turn on the dance floor. Start with your nitrogen-fixing legumes in spring. Follow with brassicas in summer. Then let root vegetables take center stage in fall. Finally, wrap up with grains to replenish the soil. But here's the exciting part. This isn't a one-size-fits-all recipe. Your garden is unique, and your rotation plan should be too. Some of you might have shorter growing seasons. Others might want to focus more on certain crops. That's perfectly fine. The key is to start with these basic principles and then adapt them to your garden's personality. Try different combinations, keep notes on what works best, and don't be afraid to experiment. Remember, even the most experienced gardeners are constantly learning and adjusting their approach. I'd love to hear about your own crop rotation adventures. What combinations have worked best in your garden? What challenges have you faced? Drop your experiences in the comments below. Your insights might be exactly what another gardener needs to hear. We're all in this together, and sharing our successes and lessons learned makes our whole gardening community stronger. Before you go put these tips into action, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to stay updated with more gardening secrets like these. I've got tons more tips and tricks up my sleeve that I can't wait to share with you. And trust me, once you see how crop rotation transforms your garden, you'll never look back. Remember, every great garden starts with a plan, but it thrives on passion and patience. Now get out there and start your crop rotation journey. Your soil is waiting to thank you. See you in the next video. Smart farming inside.